Welcome to Knockouts Unlimited, presented by Blue Planet Media Group. It's bpmgmedia.com. The date now is going to be Standing 8 Promotions bringing us the action. The Christmas Bash, December the 20th, 2013. And it's Bud Light number 6 at the Will Rogers Center. Let's go and get down to the action right now, fight fans. What you've come for. The first bout has none other than Tanias Michelotis at 6-0, coming out of Kavala, Greece, against Tobias Wright out of Macon, Georgia. These heavyweights came together for one reason. And I got to tell you right now, group, they came in and they put on the show. It was scheduled for 4 rounds. And I better tell you right now, I'm going to go ahead and hand it off right now to none other than Ahmad right now. Ahmad, these heavyweights came in and they had something to prove to each other.
Yeah, well, Tanias Michelotis, he was a little bit reserved. He takes his time, he walks in. He doesn't look like much of a fighter. You know, looking at both of the fighters, Rice had he had a little more musculature, and you know, he threw a lot more hard punches, but Tanias kind of took his time. And you know, I thought he should have used his jab more, and he showed me his power. I didn't see power, because I know he was 6-0 with 6 knockouts. And I didn't see the power. He doesn't have a powerful frame, and he doesn't throw his punches like, you know, they're very powerful. But once he started unloading on Rice, and you started seeing the results of his punishment, of his power, you kind of say, yeah, he does, you know, he has kind of a subtle kind of power.
Well, Lisa, I got to tell you, we were at ringside and we were actually calling this punch by punch, play by play, however you want to say it. But Tobias Rice really put on a great show until something happened. I think he got knocked down. What round was that?
It was the last round, and like I was saying, I said, you know, this is the final round, and it was a toss-up. Whoever wanted it in the 4th round is who was going to take it. I know that Tanias.
Thanasis,
yes.
That's right.
That's a
tough name. Tough name.
Thanasis. I know he was undefeated, and like you said, you couldn't tell by the power. But once he got going, you could tell that every time he hit Rice, that it was really moving him, and it was starting to hurt him. But it was like back and forth action, and I really enjoyed it. And in the 4th round, it came to him getting knocked down, and I was like, okay, there goes the fight. There goes the fight.
He actually had a good shot every round.
Yes.
Tanias, you know, because I'm like, well, this guy's going to knock him out. You know, I'm thinking, you know, Michelotis is the favorite, you know.
Sure, 6-0.
You know, but Rice kept throwing some very good shots, and I didn't see a lot from Tanias. And then all of a sudden, he would land a good shot and rock Rice in every round. I think he did enough. I gave him 3 out of 4 rounds. I think he did enough at the end of those rounds, and then the big shots to win those rounds.
Well, Stan, you know, you were at ringside. I know you were filming and taking all kinds of action shots. Tell me what you saw.
Well, you know, I did see, for a heavyweight fight, I did see, you know, it was a decent fight. I really enjoyed it. It was a fight that I enjoyed, but I really think that Tanias was more of the busier fighter. When Rice got dropped in that last round, that was the round that called the fight.
Well, you know, I got to tell you, fight fans, the way we saw it, it was a pretty close fight until that. But let me tell you how the judges looked at it. It was 40-35, 40-35, and 40-36. They saw complete domination in the corner of none other than Tanias Michelotis. And he walks out the winner as a unanimous decision. Now let's step up to bout number 2. These are the junior middleweights, and this was scheduled for 4 rounds. Pitting none other than Constantino Martinez, making his pro debut out of Sweetwater, Texas, against Jonathan Ramirez, which is no stranger to us, Lisa. He is 1-0. We saw him make his pro debut out of Arlington, Texas. Tell me if you remember how this bout started out and how it ended up.
You know, with Martinez making his pro debut, I thought that, you know, he did very well. It was back and forth action, and Martinez is a southpaw. And so he found a home very early on in the round with that straight left, which kind of took Ramirez off his game. And in the first round, Martinez knocked him down. He knocked him down so bad that he turned around, and I thought that he was out. But it was almost like a flash knockdown, because as soon as he was down, he was up, and that's where the fight turned. There was a turn in the fight. Second round, Ramirez knocks down Martinez. Now, I don't know Martinez, but he's from West Texas, and I'm from West Texas.
Sweetwater.
Not that I was going for Martinez, because Ramirez is from out here, but he wound up knocking down Martinez early on. I think when the first round ended, his cornerman gave him some new instructions on how to deal with Martinez, and so he was able to just stay calm, and he also found a straight right, and so that's what he kept unloading. And after that, it was pretty much downhill from there. Ramirez was taking every round after that.
And see, that was the key, that Ramirez was able to make the adjustment at the corner, because he got hit with a very good shot.
Yes.
Now, you said, that Martinez just took him off his game. He took him off his feet. You know what I'm saying? I mean, he hit such a good shot. I think that when Ramirez hit the canvas, he actually woke up. See, sometimes with certain fighters, it takes a very good shot to wake him up and say, oh, it's really going down. I better get my head in here and really start fighting now, because it's like he woke up and he started boxing. Now, we got to remember that both of these guys are in the developmental stage of their careers. So they're, quite naturally, a bunch of things that they need to work on. So I would tell Ramirez, even Martinez, to go back and look at these tapes, look at the films, and start and see where you can get better. Constantly get better. And that's the key to really developing a fighter. Looking at where you made your mistakes at, where you can make your small adjustments at. And I think actually both of these fighters can have a good career.
Well, you know what? Like you said, they're both in the development stage. One thing that I can say about Martinez is that he fought a very smart fight against Ramirez, who was the taller fighter, who had the longer reach. That he would come in and throw a jab straight left, and he would tie him up. And that's a veteran move.
Exactly.
So I wouldn't say that Martinez was experienced or anything, because he was making his pro debut. But he had a great cornerman to tell them to throw a few shots and get inside and take away his reach by throwing what you have to throw and then tying him up. And that's what he was doing in the third round. After he got knocked down in the second, he started doing that, which was frustrating Ramirez, but Ramirez was able to make those adjustments and come out with a unanimous decision.
Exactly, Stan. That unanimous decision. I'm going to ask you, was that a good call by
Yes,
the TDLR?
I agree 100%. I definitely agree with the judge's
Yeah,
call.
it was. It was a unanimous decision, all to the blue corner, residing in the name of Jonathan Ramirez, taking it to 2-0. And now let's step up to the third bout of the evening that night. It was in the bantamweight division. It was Cowtown's favorite. It is none other than Juan Antonio Lopez, better known as Tony Lopez, coming in at 7-0 with 3 knockouts, undefeated out of Fort Worth again against Quincy Wesby, and that was scheduled for 4 rounds. Quincy having a record of 2-2 coming out of Dallas, Texas. They made weight at 120 and 125. They barely made that weight. Lisa, if you remember, there was a weight issue there. I think if you remember correctly, Quincy Wesby had to lose a quarter of a pound to make this a Texas Department of Licensing Regulation qualified bout.
Yes, because TDLR, you have to be 5 pounds off. So that's why he had to take or lose that last quarter pound. But this was an interesting fight because Wesby, he was a very awkward fighter, which made it, which made Tony, he wasn't able to get off like he wanted to throughout those rounds, because Quincy was just all over the place, and he was tying him up, and the way he was just throwing Tony off. But again, Tony being 7-0, and the kind of cornerman that he has, he comes out of Reyes Boxing Gym, they made those adjustments, so he did what he had to do to come victorious that night.
Tony, what I got to say right here, Stan, is really about Tony. He had to make some serious adjustments because the awkwardness that Lisa just said right now was something that took, I think, his whole rhythm off. We've seen him box before. Tell me what you saw in the eyes of Tony Lopez.
Well, I really think that Tony Lopez got frustrated in that fight. It's because of the low blows that he delivered and then the punch to the back of the head. And normally, whenever fighters start delivering blows like that, especially when they're consistent with it, I think that they're frustrated. He was frustrated during that fight, and that was my first time ever seeing him.
Ahmad, I'm going to put this question to you as a professional ex-boxer that you are. 2 low blow cautions were thrown at Tony, and a point that Stan made very clear right now. What does that mean as a professional? He's getting warned about those low blows. He got two warnings. What that is, I think it was two warnings. And tell me what that means.
Well, okay, he might have been a little frustrated, but Wesley was very awkward. And the blow in question y'all talking about, the blow behind the head, it's because Wesley turned. Now you don't realize one was southpaw, one was orthodox. Whenever there's a southpaw fighting an orthodox fighter, there's always going to be that awkwardness in the stance. And plus, Wesley's stance was very awkward and very unorthodox in itself. And Wesley was doing all kind of awkward things to try to kind of offset Tony's punches, even the low blows in question, because of the way Wesley was fighting.
The final cards read, all in the favor of Tony Lopez. A unanimous decision. Walking in the ring at 7-0, walking out 8-0. Now, ladies and gentlemen, as we take a break, we want to remind you to subscribe, like, and follow bpmgmedia.com. You stay tuned as we come back for the final 4 bouts and the results.
Ladies and gentlemen, can I please have your attention? I've just been handed an urgent and horrifying news story. And I need all of you to stop what you're doing and listen.
Undocumented Music Society, bpmgradio.com. Be in the mix with us every Tuesday, 12 to 2, every Friday, 12 to 2. My man DJ Chris X, I'm DJ Viz, aka Courthouse Walker. Dig it, dig it.
So today we're here gathered with Fort Worth Metro, who's one of our charity partners. They run a great outreach program to at-risk youths here in Fort Worth. This is something we've been involved with for 5 or 6 months now. And I think it's so important to give back to the community and to continue to do things like this, not just from a human interest standpoint, but also for the kids here. And I personally got involved in boxing because of a similar situation down in New England. That was 20 years ago, and I'm still stuck with it today, still very passionate about it. And for me, it was an outlet. I've always found the sport of boxing to be something that teaches discipline and a great work ethic, which is something that I feel has served me well so far in my life. And it's just a pleasure to give back here with Fort Worth Metro. We've got quite a few kids, I think a couple hundred kids out here today. And some of them might have aspirations of being boxers, some maybe not, but either way, it's just a great way to get involved in the community.
This is Samuel, the main event Clarkson, and you are watching Knockouts Unlimited, baby. Let's get it.
My fans, we welcome you back, the lovers of the sport, the backbone of USA Boxing. Now let's go and get down to bout number 4 on this beautiful standing 8. Beautiful card. It pits none other than Larry Slow Motion Smith out of Dallas, Texas, with a record of 10-18 with 7 KOs against Joey Dunmoody at 5-2. 2 KOs out of Fort Worth, Texas, and this was scheduled and slated for 4 rounds in the middleweight division. Gonna tell you, stay right here. 2 guys who had just come together. And if you remember, Joey Dunmoody coming off a sabbatical. I remember it was 2.5 years, his last fight. Tell me about it.
Well, I personally feel like the first round, I give it to Larry Slow-Mo Smith.
Okay.
But in reality, that's the only round that I give Larry Slow-Mo Smith. I mean, I think that he needs to really cut down on the flashiness. And, it's like, because after that first round, it was straight downhill for Larry.
Well, one of the things that I was, talking about when we were live, broadcasting live, is that, yes, Joey Dunmoody, he's been off a 2.5-year layoff, and we were wondering if there was going to be any ring rust. Well, there wasn't any ring rust. Larry, he doesn't throw a lot, and what made this fight in Joey's favor, he was throwing 4 or 5 combinations, and I'm going to tell you, I've seen Joey's fight in the past. He has improved tremendously from 2.5 years ago until now. Was it because he was taking on Larry Smith, who doesn't throw a lot of combinations and he doesn't get off very fast? I'm not too sure, and I'm not going to say that. I'm friends with both of these guys. Larry, he is good. It's just that he doesn't, throw a lot of combinations. And Joey was hitting him with body shots, left hooks to the body, coming back, finishing on top. He was throwing uppercuts. He was working that jab. And with someone like with Larry's stature, he's very long. He should have been utilizing his reach. working that jab, and he wasn't doing none of that. And Larry, he likes to fight off the ropes, and he likes to fight inside. For a taller fighter, he should have been fighting outside. But yes, Joey won, and he looked good doing it, and I agreed with the scorecards, 40-36. In other words, not one judge gave Larry a round.
Avant, I've got to talk about this right here. Last bout that Larry made was 149 pounds. He jumps up to 161.25 pounds. That's 12 pounds difference. And as I talked to him, he said, I'm no longer a 150 pounder. I'm just going to use 150 right now. What does that mean in the boxing world when they make that kind of leap in that short of time frame?
Well, when I was boxing professional, I fought between 160 and 147 as well. And many fighters can. It just depends on who their opponent is. Sometimes we take fights, but we can't take. You'll see a lot of fighters in the developmental stage. Let's take, for instance, you take a 47 pounder. You'll take some fights at 52. You'll take some fights at 54.
Well, I'll tell you one thing that I would like to see out of Larry. I would love to see a much busier fighter. He have to get busier because Larry's technique, he has a nice technique, and we all have to agree with that. He has a very nice technique, and he can deliver the clear, crisp shots. We can all agree with that. But Larry have to get a lot more busier in these fights.
I love Larry Slow Motion Smith. I know him as an amateur. And Larry, I've got to send this message from the bottom of my heart. Maybe after 28 bouts he's already had, 29. And not being at 29 now. That's right. Had 28 before, now 29. Larry, I don't know if there comes a time where the combinations are not coming because you're just getting a little bit older or what. But I really wanted you to think about, maybe is it time to really slow down in this sport? Because we love you more than we love the sport itself. But that's all I can say right here. Anybody want to say anything else before I go to the next one?
I'm done.
Everybody's done. Well, the final cards read, as Lisa was saying, 40-36 on all scorecards. And to the winner, Joey Dunmoody. Now let's step up to bout number 5, a massive super knockout. I think this was in the super middleweight division. It was 4 rounds. It never reached round number 2. It was David Rock Hance making his professional debut out of Dallas, Texas. He's made weight at 162 against Mike Tuffarello. 2-0 with 2-0 with one draw and 2 KOs out of Carrollton, Texas. Come on. I've got to say, Ahmad, I'm going to hand it off to you right here.
Well, and this wasn't the original fight, mind you.
Okay.
Both fighters were scheduled to fight somebody else, and I had talked to Rock a couple of times before this, and he actually wanted to fight Mike. Now, you don't always get what you ask for, You gotta be careful what you ask for.
Yeah, be careful what you ask
He asked for the fight, he got the fight.
He got the fight. He got a little more than what he asked for.
Get the detail now.
Being that it was Rock's first fight, and with Rock's age, he needed to fight someone a little less powerful. Because we know Mike. Mike comes out throwing big shots. And if you're not ready for this, if you can't withstand it, it's because he's throwing everything at you. The first knockdown, when Rock was stuck in the ropes, I thought maybe that was it.
That was about 35 seconds into the fight.
30 seconds into the fight?
Yeah, 35 seconds.
And then, with the shots that Mike was catching him with, Mike knew he could kind of load up on him. Rock really wasn't putting enough output out to keep Mike from throwing the shots, the heavy shots. And actually, the knockout punch, Mike threw it from, I think he threw it from Carrollton. He brought that punch from Carrollton, through Louisville, back around the footwork, and hit Rock with it. And when Rock hit the floor, I knew it was over with.
Well, Lisa, you got the proud privilege of interviewing Mike by ringside. Give me the inside on what you saw in the fight and how you put it together in his interview.
Well, there's really not much to say about the fights.
The end comes at 1 minute and 17 seconds of the very first round. The hand raised is Mike Tuffarello, walking in at 2-0 and 1, walking out at 3-0 and 1 with now 3 knockouts. Now let's step up to the co-main event. This is 4 rounds in the featherweight division. I'm going to tell you, this might have been an upset right here with the fans. It was pitting a guy out of Austin, Texas. I'm talking about Ann Wolfskamp. John Valadez, he comes in with a 3-0 record with 1 knockout against James De Herrera out of the Standing 8 promotion, the one Standing 8 camp out of Fort Worth, Texas at 3-0 with 3 knockouts. And these men were making weight at 126. Let's go ahead and get down to it. Lisa, I'm going to hand it off to you right here.
You know what? De La Hera, he comes out with a lot of energy, and he doesn't work off the jab. He just comes straight forward, and that's the only type of style that he knows, is just coming straight forward, you know, head first. And John, you know, he's very poised. He's very calm. He was in there. He was just waiting for him to come inside so he can counter off. And that's exactly what he did. Now, John, he was a southpaw. He was able to find a home easily. Anytime you fight in an orthodox versus a southpaw, you know, that southpaw can find a home, you know, for the straight left, and so can an orthodox person finding a home for a straight right. But John was able just to easily hit, you know, James at ease whenever he wanted to, just because he came in so carelessly. He knocked him down in the first round.
Right.
And I think maybe twice, am I wrong?
No, you're right.
Okay.
You're right. Twice.
Okay, he knocked him down twice in the first round, and he
Twice.
barely made it. I think he was saved by the bell. Coming back in the second round, I think his corner gave him some, you know, some motivation to go back in there. And James came out just a little bit stronger, but like I said, John just looked like he was a veteran out there. Even though he has 3 fights, he was very calm, relaxed, and just waiting for James to come in again, just careless, that until he just had to, you know, he knocked him out in the second round.
Well, that comes from, the poise that John showed, that comes from good trainers and a long, very good amateur career. You know, a lot of times we look at these fighters, we know that they're in the development stages of their professional career, but a lot of them have a long amateur backgrounds. And, you know, you get a little of that poise, you're a little more reserved, you know. Well, De La Hera's problem is that he throws wild shots, wild looping shots, and he punches with his hands down. Whereas John, his shots, his punches, his defense was a little tighter, and he threw his punches sharper, straight to the target. Where De La Hera, everything's out, everything's
Hands
looping.
down,
Hands
out.
down, no defense. So John did what he was supposed to do. He countered, he came over shots, he threw shots in between shots. That's what, and when the guys throw looping shots, it's very easy to catch them with shots in between shots.
Exactly.
Well, I personally think that we all saw this coming for James for a while now because of his carelessness in the ring. He would come in straight forward, and he eats too many shots. And so finally, you know, he stepped in the ring. Well, this is not the first time. This is actually the second time he stepped in the ring with someone more technical.
Well, fight fans, I got to tell you this. As we close this segment up of our view right here, I can only tell you that some of the biggest gains are made in some of the biggest losses that we have as professionals. And that's what's happened here. Now let's go and take a small break as we go ahead and acknowledge our sponsors. But don't forget to subscribe, like, and follow bpmgmedia.com. You stay tuned. We'll be back for the main event and the results.
What inspires me? Tomorrow inspires me. Opportunity inspires me. Everything that I can gain inspires me. How much I stand to lose inspires me. How much do I want it is what inspires me. Never sleeping on the floor again is what inspires me. Never being poor again, that's what inspires me. So maybe it's not just one thing, it's all those things that inspire me.
This is Big Sugar Ray Phillips. You're watching Knockouts Unlimited.
We welcome you back as we go ahead and culminate the action of the Standing 8 promotion card. the Christmas Bash that's going to get down to the main event right now, ladies and gentlemen. Let's meet these warriors who brought one show that was second to none. It was 8 rounds for the Texas Super Welterweight Championship, pitting none other out of Las Vegas, Nevada, making weight at 151 pounds. Is Anthony Link at 14-2 with 7 KOs. He came in with a great record against our champion, Hector Vasquez, at 11-1 with 2 knockouts, making weight at 151 pounds. I'm going to tell you right now, Stan, it was some action-packed excitement out here. Tell me about it.
Yes, that was definitely an action-packed, fast-paced fight from beginning to the end. And then Link, he brought on more than what Hector was expecting. Anthony Link, to me, he landed a lot more crisp, cleaner shots.
Amon, I got to pass it off to you right here. You saw the fight. It was action-packed. It was back and forth. It was inside fighting. It was, I would say, technical brawl. That's my lovely Lisa always says. I've got to steal her words. Tell me what you saw as a professional fighter being in the ring yourself.
Okay, what I saw was one fighter had a little bit more, was a little more poised, a little better shape, and another fighter proved, hey man, I wasn't going to lose at home, even though you're better. I thought Lynx was a better boxer. I thought Lynx had hit him with better shots, but I think Hector wanted it more. Hector was not going to let a guy come from Vegas and take his Texas title, take the Texas title out of Texas.
Sure.
And you know, and I saw those last rounds, Link sat back, Link would hit him with one good, crisp, clean shot, and Hector would run off 3 or 4, landing maybe 2. A lot of times people say, well, he hit Hector with the cleaner shots, which he did, but Hector hit him with 3 and 4 after with that, and 3 and 4 before that. Hector just was, hey man, I'm losing. Maybe I wasn't in the best shape that I should have been in, but those last rounds, Hector pulled it off. Hector put it together. He put his combos together, and you know, people can say, well, I like the cleaner shots, but man, 3 and 4, 1 versus 4. I got to give it to the man landing 4.
It's the
I got to
points
give it to the man. At the end of the day, Link's defense wasn't all of that, because those shots were landing. Some of the shots rolled off of him. I'm ringside, I'm right inside the gates. Some of the shots rolled off of him, but a lot of the shots hit him. That's why I gave the fight to Hector.
Lisa, I got to bring this to you, right? I know I got to interrupt this. By the second or third round, I mean, we have our Texas champion, Hector, already bleeding out of his nose and mouth. You made a big point of that. And when I say a big point, you made a point of that as we were broadcasting it. Let's go ahead and talk about that, what you saw.
Well, you know what? I'm going to have to go off what Ahmad said, because he looked at me because I made a facial expression about his defense. I'm going to be honest. I thought Anthony Link won. I gave him 5 rounds. I gave him 2 through 6, and I gave Hector the first round 7 and 8. Yes, Hector came back. Yes, Hector did a lot better as far as being the aggressive fighter, fighting inside. I think Hector is a better fighter fighting in the pocket. He's used to something like that. Link, I think he took a break in the last round because
Sure
I thought he probably thought that he had it in the bank, and he's like, you know what, I'm just going to not take any risks, because his corner probably thought, you know what, Hector's losing. He knows that in this final round he's going to need a knockout, so don't take a risk and just dance around the ring. I think that was one of the problems that Link and his, I don't know if that's what his corner said, I'm pretty sure they did, that they shouldn't have done. I don't think any fighter should take a break, even though they think they're ahead in the scorecards. You never know, especially fighting in someone's home, and that's exactly what Link did. You know, Hector came back, they gave him a motivation speech. Whatever they did in Hector's corner, they were giving him a motivation speech, and whatever they said, it worked, and Hector came out fighting like a man possessed in the 7th to 8th round. I thought that Link, when they did get inside, it was Hector's fight. Hector was beating him. I thought, from what I was seeing, some of them was coming off the arms, but then, you know, the last maybe 2 punches came off and they were able to land. Link, you know, I liked him. He was a boxer. He was poised. He was patient. He didn't get overexcited when Hector started, you know, teeing off on him. And I like that type of fighter. And it just looked, you know, he looked like the experienced fighter in there. Didn't get too worried about it. I just think that maybe Hector just threw too many punches, and that's what the judges were seeing, regardless if they, you know, connected or not. That's probably why they gave it to Hector. But what I was looking at, I thought Anthony won, in my personal opinion. Although I was going for Hector, he's my friend, Texas boy, but I'm going to be honest, and I thought Anthony should have been, taking the Texas
Well
title back to Vegas.
And everywhere you go, you get home cooking. And don't put that on Texas. That's not on
Yeah,
Texas.
okay.
Everywhere you go, you're gonna get some home cooking.
Well, that is true.
I fought all over the country, all of the other countries as well. Everywhere you go, you're gonna get some home cooking. Some of those close rounds, if you're from out of state and you're not doing enough, some of those close rounds, you think you can win it, you're gonna lose.
Well, you know what? I'm going to have to go back, like every fight I always do, because sometimes I say, you know what, this person won. But after going back and looking at it for the second and third time, I wind up changing my mind. So I would love to go back and see the Link and Hector fight and really look at it and see, what I thought I gave Link versus what I gave Hector. I want to go back and take a look at it. Maybe, in our next episode, I may eat my words and I may just stay with the same decision I have now.
Okay, fight fans, you can see we could discuss this forever and ever. It was a great, great fight, and all of us, you can see, gave our personal opinions. Everything from the winner being Link to the winner being Vasquez. But the true decision comes at the hands of the judges with a majority decision. One judge calling it 76 a draw. The other two judges at 77-75. Both in the corner of Hector Vasquez, and Hector Vasquez retaining his belt. As we bring this one to an end, you can see the group here one more time. It's none other than Ahmad Elijah, Stan the Man, none other than the lovely Lisa and Roland Gomez. As we say farewell, we never say bye. We only say a salute to those fans who are the backbone and the foundation of the sport we love.